Do I think the universe has always existed? If there's no God, where'd it come from? I don't really have any opinion on where the universe came from, if it came from anywhere, if it's eternal, or if time is cyclical. So the concept of beginning is nonsensical. I don't have any, I don't take a side with that in any way. The only thing I do is I will bring up those counterpositions just to tell the theist that you haven't solved it because you haven't demonstrated that these things aren't the case or that they can't be the case.
So it sounds like you don't really have a stance on it either. You just kind of don't know.
No, it's like aliens might exist. I think it's even I think it's even likely that they exist, but what color are they? I have literally no opinion because I don't know. I don't have any justified reason for making a claim, and I don't think anybody else does either. So I just say I don't know.
Okay, I can accept that. That's fine. Do you believe absolutes exist?
Possibly, I guess. Like a reality exists, I would say that's like a brute fact. So I guess I would
Would you
say a
say
brute fact would count as an absolute, I think.
so? So what I mean by absolutes are pretty much things that would uh remain true, like independent of human thought.
Yeah, so like a material reality existing, yeah, that would be absolutely true. But I would call that objectively true because the way I understand it, objectively true means it's true regardless of time, place, circumstance, or person giving the account.
Yeah, yeah, we could call it objective truths. I agree with that. Um,
Only a
so
Sith deals in absolutes. Go ahead. I'm just talking to myself.
no, it's okay. So if there's evidence of objective truths, right, just through logic, would you agree that that presumes that there's more than one objective truth?
So whether or not you or I existed, the planet Pluto would exist, and also the planet Neptune would exist. Is that what you mean by multiple absolute truths?
Um, yeah, you could say that, but what I mean by absolute truths also would be like the laws of logic, right?
So
Like I
you're
would
talking
be
about
both.
logical truths, which are if we don't exist and they're still true, that means that they are eternal. That must mean they are grounded in an eternal mind. Is that where we're going? Because I've heard this before.
Yeah, that's basically my yeah. You're tracking. That's basically my line of thought.
Okay, that makes really zero sense for so many reasons. So logical statements are things that we make up. Truth is a property that sentences have. Some sentences. There are some sentences that are just complete nonsense. So if I say, it can even be 2 plus 2 equals 4, or it can be there's an oak tree right over there. Those are both true statements, and we justify it by using these things called logic, but logic literally just describes the way we use language and how grammar works. So there's nothing special really with that. And those logical statements, what are they grounded on? Not a mind. They're grounded in a real physical reality that exists because we could approach this in different ways, but what I'll just say is pretend that nothing exists. On what grounds would any logical statement be valid?
I mean, statement implies that a person is making it, right? So I would say that a logical idea would still be valid just because it exists outside of the mind, right? Which means if if logic is a if you're saying logic is only grounded in like basically our observable reality, but it exists outside of our reality, that means that we live in a reality that is grounded by something other than human thought. Like there's an order. It
Yeah,
implies
there.
order.
Yeah, the reality around us. So, we're just gonna try to do this again. If nothing exists, because apparently logical statements and logical truths are eternal. So before God even created, there is no universe. A material reality doesn't exist. On what grounds does it make any sense to say that there are true logical statements?
Immaterial reality. Is that what you said?
Yeah, a material reality does not exist. On what grounds does any logical statement make have any validity or make any sense?
Um, if a material reality does not exist, I don't know. I guess I would say that. I guess you couldn't use the term logic, but I would think things would still be logically true outside of the immaterial reality.
Okay, here's the problem with that. There are types of true statements we can make, like there's an oak tree out there. And if a universe didn't exist and no trees existed, then God saying there are oak trees that have leaves is completely incoherent. I wouldn't think that you even disagree with that, right? Okay, now let's think about a different kind of logical statement, 2 plus 2 equals 4, because there aren't any 2s and there aren't any 4s out there that I can actually go get and demonstrate the realness of that. Although you could argue that a quantity of 2 things plus a quantity of 2 things equals 4 things. But we don't really need to go there, right? So 2 plus 2 equals 4. Let's call that a purely logical statement. Okay. Now, we use mathematics, I think, is just a language. I think it is just invented. And what it does is it describes a material reality that we experience. Because, like I said, you can justify mathematical statements with real things in the physical world. Not just like physical things, but like things that are like abstractions, like waves and energy and things like that. Anyways, but if we pretend that nothing at all exists and we say something like 2 plus 2 equals 4, that statement is not, what's the word I want to say? I don't want to say grounded in. Oh, my brain is not braining right now. That statement can't be held accountable in any way. And here's what I mean. Here's where this just becomes total nonsense. Pretend nothing exists. And I say, shibbity hibbity bibbity bibbity bobbity bibbity dibbity ibbity bibbity whippity boo. Something something shlammalama ding dong. Nobody can tell me that I did not just say something that's true. Because nothing exists. If I'm God, I'm the only conscious mind that there is. Or I could just say there is no God, it's just me somehow, and I'm the only thing that exists in a whatever. I don't even know. But if I just go, because there are no other minds for me to participate in to try to validate and ground and justify these claims, they mean absolutely nothing. And because there's no physical reality to try to ground my abstractions or whatever, it also means nothing. And it's just completely nonsensical. So this idea of logic and eternal truths must have always existed before a universe exists, just to me, it's just complete nonsense.
I mean, I get it, but I would say the constants that make up the universe aren't gibberish. You know what I mean? And that's why I said like it basically
Yeah, but that's
order.
only because you have a universe to compare them to.
I mean, yeah, like the universe exists. So
Yeah, if there's no universe and anybody makes any kind of statement, a linguistic statement, a logical statement, whatever, there's no grounding, justification, or anything with it. that statement can't be held accountable in any way.
I mean, without someone to observe it, I agree. But
Even if there's only no, because it's the same thing. Even if there is a God that eternally exists, this God declaring anything is not based in anything. You can only just assert that, well, that's how it works with God, and now we're just saying things.
yeah, no, I get your point. But like I said, I feel like because of the way we measure the universe and the language that we use, like mathematics and logic and stuff like that, I feel like that itself implies order. It implies an order to the universe. Order implies design. Design
So
implies an agent, an
the
intelligent agent.
like the fact that mathematics works and that physics works and our whatever you want to call them, metaphysical epistemological descriptions of reality work, I agree that they work, but that's because there's a reality that is governed by orderly natural laws. And so again, it's that reality around us that informs us of the ways we come up with for describing this reality. Because if nature was completely random, then there'd be no, if every time I dropped something, it fell at different speeds and sometimes it rocketed up into the air for no reason, then we'd live in an unintelligible world. And we wouldn't be able to do things like come up with mathematical descriptions for things. Well, you could for, I don't know, you could count things, I guess, but trying to describe the world rather than merely observing it would be hopeless. But
It would be
again,
impossible.
I don't see that that's evidence of any kind of designer doing anything.
I mean, yeah, from your review, I can see that. But like I said, it's the fact that we can, right? The fact that we're able to me, implies that it was made this way specifically so we could. Like I said, if things, well, like you said, actually, if there was no order, right? If there was no like intelligible mathematics and laws, like natural laws and stuff like that, then there would be no understanding of anything. But the fact is, we as humans, we do understand things. Like, we can measure things, and I feel like the creator made these natural laws, put these things in place for that purpose, so we would be able to understand like our reality. Because if we can't understand our reality, then there's like no point to anything, pretty much.
So that sounds very tempting and logical until you realize, and credit to Sam I am for saying this, but we actually only observe a tiny fraction of reality. For example, what we can see, like visible light, that represents 0.0035% of the available wavelengths of energy that can be detected. So this God made us to be able to detect barely a tiny sliver of anything.
I mean, yeah, I agree because like we haven't even explored the whole ocean yet. But I would say that is just because like what we live in is just so vast, and the creator who created everything, like it's like he's displaying his awesomeness in the creation, right? So the fact that we can only observe and measure a fraction of what is actually there, just goes to show.